To me, it seemed kind of like the whole experience of the PSAT seemed kind of put together very quickly, because they only received information about the test like a couple days before, I think, when they could have sent it out like before that, so we knew what was going on.
Kind of like made students compromise safety just so that they could do well or not be at a disadvantage when applying for college.
Mm-hmm. But also I understand that this is the first time they have to be in this kind of situation, or, you know, it's like learning curve for everyone. So I think they did pretty good for the situation they were put in.
Or did you see anyone like checking documentation for like your form response?
No.
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 There was no one at like checking for proof. I was kind of expecting someone there to be there. People are relying on students' honesty when filling out the health check. When, to be honest, someone could just lie because like they're like, oh, I need to take the PSAT to get in college, right? Would have just lied on the health check because this is something that they think they need to do no matter what.
Was there a way to verify that students were actually filling it out on the day of and not like a few days before the actual test?
There was no verify that I'm aware of, other than we would expect students to use good judgment and follow, the rules.
And then for the form submissions, did the proctors have like a list of students who filled it out, and were they like checking it when students came in the classroom?
No, that went to our person, Gregory Duran, that administered the test. So not quite sure where that data went, to be honest with you.
She didn't really know anything about the PSAT at all. She even said that she didn't know anything.
I definitely felt like my proctor, this person clearly expressed this, that like they had just been told to come and to read off the instructions, and if they didn't read the instructions, even though sometimes they are redundant, then they would get in trouble.
Personally, I thought the experience went pretty well. Our proctor got started ahead of time so that we could get out early, and she seemed to be well versed in how the procedures would work, got through everything smoothly, gave us our breaks accordingly, and I think personally it was a great experience.
My proctor specifically, she read from the booklet and she gave us instructions, but several times teachers would come in and then tell her the actual instructions, because I think she got a lot of the test and form ID and room number things that we were supposed to write down wrong. So me and a lot of the other kids would be stopped in the middle of the test. If we were done with our section, we'd have to go back and erase our information and fill it out again. I had to do that twice.
It didn't necessarily seem super prepared, but also didn't seem unprepared, like they didn't know what they were doing. I think part of it was because my proctor was a teacher at Doherty, so he's probably proctored the test in previous years.
I didn't really have any major issues with my proctor. Yeah, if there were cases that like the proctors weren't inexperienced, I think the district should be training them better for sure. But for me personally, my proctor was just fun.
As far as the training, there was several trainings with the proctors, online, of course. Myself personally and Gregory Duran, we ran 3 of them. So that was covered then. Plus, we handed out instructions on the day of.
I guess it was technically a training, but the information they sent you and asked you to read, they basically go over it with you again. When you proctor PSAT, it wasn't just about COVID training, it was also about proctoring training. So PSAT and the SAT, the people that put that forward, you have to follow the rules very deliberately, and you're not allowed to deviate from them. And so if you deviate from them, that could mess up the scores for the people that you're proctoring for. So not only are you following the COVID rules, you're also following the PSA2 rules. And if you've done these things before, it's not hard. It's just about following directions and making sure you follow them very carefully.
What was the policy from your proctor on eating and drinking during the breaks?
She encouraged it as long as you stayed in your seat, although I think the class was pretty concerned about health guidelines, so no one actually ate anything, but a few students drank water during the test. But we were well spaced out enough that it wasn't posing a threat to anybody.
I remember he said, like, I know administration wants you to go like outside of the building when you eat and drink, but like, I don't really care. Like, it's gonna take you, we only have 5-minute breaks, so like it's gonna take so long to go outside and come back, so you can just eat in the hallway or like drink in the hallway if you want. So that was kind of interesting to me, because even if administration had set those guidelines, he was saying like, oh yeah, that's fine, you don't need to follow them.
These social distancing measures should have been the biggest thing that got overlooked.
There were like stickers on the ground saying stay 6 feet apart, but there was no one really enforcing it.
I'll say when I first came to school and was getting ready to enter the classroom, everyone was in a single file line as if it was a normal school day, and there wasn't really any social distancing in the line. Once we got inside the classroom though, I think everything was well spaced out. There was enough space between every student in my classroom.
I feel like there were essentially no safety guidelines. There was one, like, I think one of our vice principals or something was standing outside when people were walking in, but like she wasn't really saying to anything to people who were like walking next to each other or anything. And then like even once we like got to the classroom, there was like nothing except for like the desks being kind of far apart, but even then they weren't, I don't think they were 6 feet apart, like very clearly.
If people were close together, I would say something, but I don't think there was a lot of opportunity for that. So in this setting, you know, you don't have as many students and they all listen, so I didn't really have to enforce it.
So everyone just followed the guidelines pretty well, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. At least my group did. So.
Like if you take the official SAT between August of 2020 and June of 2021, you can submit your scores to College Board, and then they use like a special index to determine if you can qualify for national merit. Were you aware of this alternative form of entry before taking the PSAT?
No, I wasn't.
No, I definitely wasn't.
No, I did not. I did not even know that there was an alternative. And me personally, I'm only taking the PSAT to possibly qualify for national merit. So like, yeah, that was interesting for me to hear, because the district, I don't think they said anything about it to anyone.
Do you think the school should have publicized this information to students?
Yeah, I think that would have definitely changed how many actually showed up to take the PSAT, knowing that there was an alternate way to get the national merit scholarship.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, I didn't take the PSAT for that reason. It's like always an added bonus, but personally I don't believe I would really benefit from that, but I want to take it because, you know, it's like a practice test. It's good to like take it and have the score.
Like it would give a lot of families have direct, like immediate relatives who are immunosuppressed and can get the virus easier. So I feel like they should have given that option to kids who wanted a safer way.
As if they did cancel it, a lot of the juniors do want to take it, and they would have faced a lot of backlash from juniors and parents of juniors who they took a really big risk with it, considering how many students they would have on campus at once.
I have like mixed opinions about this question, because I think like now that I've taken the test, I feel like they should have canceled it if they were planning to have such such a lack of safety guidelines. Like, it would have just been better to cancel, because they were like I guess like they could have potentially brought harm to certain families or whatever. But like at the same time, I know I've heard from a lot of like different like parents and families who are like fighting to get school back in business. I feel like doing the PSAT administration was a good way for the district to show, I guess, that they could be safe, even though they really weren't.
Because I don't think it was worth risking that many people and that many students, especially when COVID's exceptionally getting worse in California specifically. At the end of the day, it was just a standardized test, but the only reason I came was just because since everyone else was taking it, it felt like you had to take it or else you would be missing something out for like college apps or something. So I felt that just put unnecessary pressure.
I think that it was a good idea just because I especially wanted to know where I lied, because I took it only last year and it's been kind of a while, but I do think there should have been like a better way to do it, like half of the junior class do it on one day, half do it the next. And
we've had SATs canceled, so it's just kind of disappointing that that's kind of happening, because it's just frustrating that we don't know when we can take it. So I was glad that the district did it. It's nice to know the district is trying to help us if College Board can't. You know, they're like hearing that this is the main concern that we have as juniors, and they're like doing something. I think maybe it would have been helpful if the proctors got to see like an example of the PSAT, like, okay, these students are going to have to do these questions.
The social distancing aspect a bit more. I know they attempted it during the test, but watching it more closely before and after would have been better.
Teachers should have been there just enforcing it. They should have been, there should have been one on each floor of each building, I think, of wherever the PSAT was being taken, and in front of each building just to enforce it.
I feel like just overall there was a lack of guidelines in general and lack of enforcement of the guidelines, and there's a lot more that the district could have done to help to like increase the safety of the test.
Thank you.